Harry has claimed that while the royal family stayed silent about the media's abuse of his wife, behind the scenes it leaked, planted, or influenced stories with the worst elements of the royal rota. Representatives of news organizations that cover the palace in a preferential press pool in return for favorable coverage for themselves or distractions from their own brewing scandals. After telling only his immediate family about plans he and Meghan were making to travel or distance themselves from royal duties, Harry says in Spare, those plans appeared in the tabloids attributed to unnamed sources. It's not just a matter of Harry's suspicions. The Daily Mail columnist Dan Wooten has said, much of the negativity towards the couple is coming from within the royal family. The royal family and staff of the royal family are the ones that are very often leaking these stories to the press. Other prominent members of the royal rota agree. Robert Jobson, the royal editor for the Evening Standard, told the Australian morning show Sunrise that they can deny it all they like until they're blue in the face, but there's been an awful lot of leaking, particularly from Kensington Palace. The office of William and Kate. In tweeting an early report of the rift between Harry and his kin, Richard Palmer of the Daily Express said the royal family and their advisors recognize the value of a symbiotic relationship in communicating with the public who pay for them. I'm not sure Harry does. Another journalist, Omid Scobie, claimed in an interview for an ITV documentary in 2021 that William was planting stories about his brother's mental health in the press. The station reportedly received a legal threat from William. So much for the policy of silence, and scrubbed Scobie's statement from the show. The British journalist Andrew Marr, a confessed fan of Queen Elizabeth II, says Harry's claims are important. After all, Marr said, either well-known journalists are making a lot of stuff up, just sitting at their laptops at the kitchen table inventing the detail of feuds and private confrontations, or a particularly confidence-rotting form of anonymous briefing has been taking place. Maybe they could be part of an inquiry similar to the one after the phone hacking scandal by Rupert Murdoch's tabloids. This sort of royal relationship with the media is not new. Of course, in a BBC documentary, Charles's former press secretary said William was furious that when he was 16, the Sun published the details of his first meeting with Camilla. I wonder how they got those details. The author of the story said the source was Mark Boland, Charles's deputy private secretary and public relations advisor. Or was it Queen Consort Camilla? It was all transactional. Sandy Henney, a former press secretary, said of Charles, "When I joined his office in 93, he was going through some pretty virulent criticism. Bad father, unloving husband. I think he was pretty hurt." She said Boland worked to change Charles's image. Leaking to the media was reportedly one way to curry favor. "Brilliant manipulator," Henney said of Boland. "He got the result he wanted." Boland denied these accusations. Boland was also accused of approving a News of the World article claiming a 16-year-old Harry had taken substances in exchange for praise for Charles for taking Harry to a rehab center. Illustrated with what the tabloid said were photos of the visit. Harry writes that the 7-page tabloid spread left him sickened and horrified, and that the photos were from an earlier official visit he had made to the center. Boland later admitted the sequence of events was distorted to make Charles look better. The coverage after Diana's unaliving spun the portrayal of Charles. "No more than an unfaithful husband," as Harry puts it in his memoir. "Pa would now be presented to the world as a harried single dad." I think I've made the case that Harry and Meghan have gotten a raw deal, and I haven't even mentioned that in response to all of this vitriol, would-be violent actors rose from the woodwork. Neil Basu, a high-level British law enforcement official, recently confirmed that Meghan received credible threats to her life, namely from the far right. Even so, shortly after they left Britain, Harry and Meghan had their official security pulled abruptly. Harry says in Spare that his father didn't step up then to help pay for replacement, despite now reportedly planning to shoulder £3 million annually to provide security for his brother Andrew, accused of sexual exploitation of young women and girls, which he has denied after Andrew's official security ended, and whose £12 million settlement with an accuser was also reported to be partly paid by the Queen. The way the tabloids can spread unhinged claims, generating a sense of urgent threat to create a social frenzy, can be used for targets other than a stray royal. During the run-up to the Brexit vote, among other outright big lies, British tabloids screeched that, thanks to a secret conspiracy being cooked up in Brussels, the European Union would allow hordes of Turks to invade Britain, commit crimes, have too many babies, and bankrupt the social services. Turkey isn't even a member of the EU and is nowhere near becoming one. Brexit narrowly won, with damaging consequences still unfolding for Britain. My impression from his memoir is that Harry wants to make a crusade of applying sunlight to corrupt media practices and his family's participation in them. If he succeeds in fighting the vile forces that he feels contributed to his mother's unaliving and imperiled his newfound love, he might bring a greater sense of decency in Britain and maybe even curtail the power of the worst practices in media. Good luck to him. Let me know what you think.